Foreign planets are a common sight in any sort of sci-fi setting. After all, if you want to show some brave human conquering the unknown dangers, why not put them on a planet so different from Earth they can't even imagine what might be waiting for them? Monstrous aliens, man-eating plants, or unhospitable terrain, alien planets swarm with the strangest and most unusual types of dangers ever seen. Yet, despite the number of different things that can be found on alien planets, the planets themselves rarely seem to differ from each other. They all follow the same basic line of logic, no matter how odd the creatures found on them are. They often appear as replicas of Earth. Land masses and layout of biomes may differ, but they appear as realistic planets that could, theoretically, exist somewhere out there in the night sky. Sometimes they appear to have one realistic biome take over the whole planet, leaving little or no other types of terrain. Or they might appear as barren wastelands, with what little life surviving being some of the most hardiest and dangerous out there, not unlike the extremes of deserts, polar regions, or the geothermal vents underneath the ocean. It is rare to find alien worlds that take advantage of their nature as mediums as fictitious, worlds of science fantasy, not science fiction. The two genres are often considered to be the same, and while both do share the same general idea of hyper-advanced civilizations far into the future, the logic behind each is drastically different. Science fiction is a genre that, at the very least, tries to be based in reality. Teleporters, replicators, laser weaponry, everything has an explanation, even if it isn't the most realistic. It is fiction, based in science, where logic and reasoning can explain everything, even if some liberties must be taken. Science fantasy, on the other hand, lacks many explanations or logic. Strange technology and phenomena are everywhere, and none of it is explained. It is, and will always be. You are simply expected to accept it as part of the world and move on. Outside of the sights seen in surreal artwork, one or two biomes found in Stellaris, or the randomization of No Man's Sky, I have never really seen any planets play up the elements of science fantasy with truly bizarre designs and worlds. Most seem to be based in science fiction instead, despite the wide variety of possibility that science fantasy holds. At least, that was until I found Axiom Verge. Be wary of spoilers. Axiom Verge is a Metroidvania from 2015 made by Thomas Happ, created over 5 years in his free time after work and on weekends. It follows a scientist named Trace, who, after getting into an accident in his lab, is transported away to an alien world and contacted by an unknown being who asks for his help. Playing through Axiom Verge, you can quickly understand why this game and its world stood out to me. The world seems to be a game itself. Not literally, of course. There isn't any fourth wall breaking commentary or similar meta aspects, but the very planet seems to glitch and flicker as you travel through it. One of the first things you can see when you begin exploring is a massive glob of corrupted green pixels that damages you if you get too close. And later on in the second area, you can find the walls and floor flicker and twitch as though the game is having errors. Seeing these, I was enthralled by the odd sight and wanted to know more, and began scouring the world of Sudra, hoping to find details on what made this place so strange. In-game, one of the first upgrades you can come across is the Address Disruptor, a weapon that fires out beams that glitch enemies, objects, and walls, altering the way that they interact with you and each other. The effects can range from simply slowing an enemy down and altering its attack patterns, to speeding an enemy up and making it no longer invincible to attacks, or even completely changing its AI to convert it into a completely different enemy type. Over the course of the game, you can find certain areas that are locked off by strange glitch-like blockages, with one of the late-game areas being filled with these blockages everywhere, seeming as though these are natural occurrences in the world that grow and spread like any other creature. You eventually find upgrades for the Address Disruptor that allows you to glitch more enemies, unglitch certain blocked paths, But until you find the address bomb upgrade, some will remain locked off. Glitches aren't something too terribly common on games. Sometimes they are annoying, sometimes they're game-breaking, and sometimes they're fun. However, these glitches are not a part of some coding error. They are part of the game, and more than that, part of the game's world. What kind of planet could exist like this, covered in pixelated errors and fragmented sprites? You can discover this through the various notes left around the map and some dialogue between the characters. The planet, Sudra, is surrounded by this strange storm that seems to connect different universes. While turbulent and chaotic, it can be navigated and even passed through to travel between dimensions. The people of Sudra used advanced technology to create the Breach Attractor, a device that would allow the breach to be more safely traveled through. What the breach is, though, or how the Breach Attractor works is unknown and vague at best. It simply is, and any further explanation is not needed. This storm is the cause of all the strange things you can find in the game that don't seem to fit in the real world. The strange glitches that block your path, the odd shapes in the sky in the upper regions of Kur and Eden, and the corruption found in the background of the final boss battle. The Breach, despite being very clearly unrealistic and fictional, is treated as something that is natural in this world, placing this game as not science fiction, but science fantasy, unlike what many would classify it as. What the Breach is, and how it works, what the Rusalka are, how Aethetos is able to clone himself, by leaving these questions vague at best, it allows a much greater focus on aesthetic and artistic expression, allowing the gameplay, world, and music to all be given more detail, rather than the science jargon that serves little purpose. Even without the Breach, the game is truly breathtaking at times, with beautiful pixel artwork giving every area a distinct and memorable feeling. The strange, flesh-bubbly caverns of Erebus start the game off with a foreign feeling, making it clear that this is no longer the planet you know. The odd symbiotic fusion of plant, steam, and metal in Z creates a bizarre zen feeling despite the hectic combat and hissing gas in the area. Kur begins as rocky crags and cliffs, shifting to a snow-covered mountain with spatial distortions connecting to different locations and planets, seen the further up you climb, and the peaceful, overgrown ruins of Eden beneath the night sky relax you before leading into the endgame. Each location has a distinct feeling to it that allows it to stand out from all the others. While their names may be strange and require some remembering, if I were to describe a location's scenery to someone who has played the game, they would be able to remember it exactly. While some locations are breathtaking, they also hide twisted secrets. Throughout the game, there are 5 secret worlds found somewhere on the map. They appear randomly in each playthrough. Although the possible spawns have been mapped out by fans, you will still rarely find 2 in the same location in different playthroughs. Each world is a chaotic mess of buggy sprites and corrupted data, inspired by the glitched locations found in the original Metroid, which were forbidden areas of the memory the player was not meant to get into. Glitches fascinated Thomas Happ as a child. The Minus World of Super Mario and the door jump glitch of Metroid especially drew his attention. Messing with the cartridges while playing and seeing how that could affect the game began an interest in breaking apart games that led into a love of open-world maps with non-linear progression like Metroid or The Legend of Zelda. He added this love of broken code into the game through the address disruptor and the secret worlds. But even then, simple love wouldn't be a good reason to add in such a feature. But he found a way. The Breach is not entirely uniform and acts more like an ocean that shifts and flows randomly. These secret worlds are messy wrecks of flotsam from the worlds and places that got caught and crushed within the Breach. You are warned about the secret worlds by one of the Rusalka you meet, and told not to enter them due to the danger they pose. But of course, you press onwards, and you find the upgrades hidden inside each. The Rusalka were another aspect of the game that caught my eye, partially due to how large they are, both in size and importance. Appearing on the main art for the game, they are massive machines that are found on the planet fighting the antagonist. They presumably have different forms, but most are found as large feminine faces attached to walls via tubes and wires. Although they do have bodies that can be used to move around, as seen in the storage hangar in Eden, or before the final battle. They were inspired by the works of H.R. Geiger, a Swiss painter known for creating surreal biomechanical artwork reminiscent of nightmares, as well as the more well-known Xenomorph from Aliens. Although while his works did inspire the designs of a fair amount of Axiom Verge, Thomas Happ stated that he would never actively try to make the designs more like Geiger's. He just made what he was familiar with, and he was familiar with Geiger's work. That was the basic idea for everything in Axiom Verge. Doing what he knew and what he understood. From the art direction to the gameplay to the marketing and production, everything was done his own way. When the game was initially revealed by early news publications, the popularity of it quickly exploded, which made him worried. Everyone was telling him to ride the wave, take advantage of the popularity, but after speaking with the journalist that first began spreading word, Jeremy Parrish, he decided to instead take his time and not be pressured by the ideas of Kickstarters or the rapidly growing fanbase. He didn't want his vision of the game to be damaged or altered by fan pressure. That wouldn't be the Axiom Verge he knew. Everything that drew me into this game was a part of that. The vision of Axiom Verge. A dream of alien planets, strange phenomena, and a game made up of one man's childhood obsession. Axiom Verge is a very special game. One unlike many others seen nowadays. A game of art hidden under the guise of gameplay. It is a game truly worthy of the title of Indie Gem, and perhaps more importantly, a game worthy of your time and attention.